Now that our classroom monitor is pretty much up to date, I wanted to have a look and reflect on the assessment that we have on Classroom Monitor. And so I wanted us to analyse some real Classroom Monitor pages from the Islamic department this year. I've consolidated just 4 in order for us to reflect on the way that we're assessing on Classroom Monitor. So on the slide here, we've got an example of one class's Classroom Monitor. I want you just to have a look at it and think what's good about it and what might be a next step. Okay, well, first of all, my thoughts on this were, well, number one, all the standards are covered. Now let's consider that we've been teaching these standards for 2 years, so it is nice to see that you've covered all of the standards over the 2 years. When I'm looking at this, very quickly I think, there's no variation of levels. All the children are at met or expected. Now this suggests that the assessment is not personalised and it's unlikely to be accurate for the individual. So I would be dubious about trusting this assessment for each individual child. It might be that collectively they seem to meet the expectations of the learning objective within the lesson, but at an individual level, nobody has exceeded the expectations and nobody has quite emerging on the expectations. So that means that it might lead people to distrust the accuracy of this assessment for the individual. And it would be nice after the 2 years to see more students exceeding the expectations. Let's have a look at this one. So again, this is another real example, of a Classroom Monitor page from the Islamic department this year. So have a look at it. What do you think is good about this assessment? What do you think is perhaps a next step? There we go. So, well, first of all, we've got variation of levels with some exceeding, which is to be expected after 2 years of coverage. So I might even like to see a bit more exceeding, really, than that after the 2 years. So that's good. We've got variation of levels. We've got some almost, we've got some met, and we've got some exceeding there. What could be improved? Well, it's blocked levelling, isn't it? There's a tiny bit of a variation around the met and almost at the top. But really, all the children have been assessed as attaining the same amount within each lesson. So it seems to reflect more on the quality of the teaching in the lesson than the quality of the learning from the students. So if you look down the bottom, you might say that those final 5 there are all exceeding. Maybe they were taught really well. Or maybe the first 3 or the first 2 weren't taught so well, because the individual students are all attaining the same amount within the lessons. So it seems to reflect more on the way the lessons are being taught rather than the learning that the students are doing. Oh, here we go. Have a look at this one. And of course, I've taken out all the names and the standards, so you can't see whether it's Islamic A, Islamic B, or have any clue as to whose assessment it is. So this is just a reflection exercise as a team. Have a look at this one. What is your thinking here? So what do you think are the positives? And what do you think are the next steps and areas for development? There we go. Well, it seems to me very personalised, with variation of levels and varied attainment across individuals. So of course the objectives go horizontally and the individuals go vertically. But I would say this is very low and there's no exceeding here. So no child within this cohort, within this class, is going above expected. So in inspection terms or lesson observation terms, that would be slightly concerning that no students were going above expected. Okay, and here we are. This is our last one, the last exercise. Have a look at this. What do we think? Well, I think this is very good. There's variation of levels. So we've got everything from a target to almost met and exceeding. It's personalised attainment by individual and an appropriate level of exceeding or above expected for the objectives that have been taught over 2 years. So I think this is a really good example, and actually I'd like to see our classroom monitor pages looking more like this. It's okay to have some yellows on there, it's okay to have a red on there or two, but what's really important is that because that reflects the inclusive nature of our school. And so it's only right that we've got some lower attaining students in our cohort. It's only right that we have those yellows popping up here, there and everywhere. Obviously, if we had all yellows or all red for one child, that might look as though we weren't putting in appropriate support, but the odd bit of yellow here and there is absolutely fine, and it reflects the diversity of our cohort. So what's nice is that we've got plenty of blue in there, we've got plenty of exceeding. And so how could it be improved? Well, I'm being a nitpicking here, but I suppose it would be nice to see all of the objectives covered, because at the moment the U means not assessed. So that means that we haven't covered it. Unassessed. All right, okay, well, I hope that was helpful. I hope that's given you something to reflect on. If you've had a look at some of these and you think, number one, that was mine, maybe I could put a bit more personalisation in the assessment there, then please do over the next few days before the 24th, go through your classroom monitor and make any appropriate amendments. It's really important that the classroom monitor reflects the learning of the children. Okay, it's really important. It's really important we keep tracking that in real time. It's formative assessment. The intention is that we're assessing it all the time as we go, not waiting till the end of the year to kind of tick it off. Okay, all right, well, thank you very much. I'm really pleased with much of the classroom monitor assessment on there, and I hope you can take on board any of the feedback in these slides to apply either this time or next time. For those people who have given really good examples like this last one, carry on as you are, and thank you very much.